This episode, we're going in hard on the human climate crisis known as menopause. From the night sweats rainforest to the arid desert vagina. We're going to break down the taboos and tell you how to deal with all of it.
All of it! And bringing all the wisdom is Alicia J. Rose, host and creator of the Menopunks Podcast and director of the soon-to-be-released Menopunks documentary.
And the menopause specialist featured in the film, Dr. Aoife O'Sullivan, who also co-hosts her own pod called The Dusty Muffin, will join us and round out the conversation.
That's right. Dusty Muffins is my new favorite name for my own vagina. Plus, pre-perimenopausal comedian and star of the hilarious comedy special, I Don't Want to Work Anymore, comedian Phoebe Robinson is here.
She's so funny. All that and the latest Abobo news coming up on this episode of the feminist Buzzkills podcast. The show that would be better qualified to protect the homeland than Mark Twain of the Oklahoma Marquains.
He is so awful.
It's really, really bad. I'm Moji and I'm joined by my co-host, Lizz Winstead.
Hey, everybody. So, Buzzkills, before we get to all of that, we gotta talk about this. That was a clip from Myron Gaines, a Manosphere influencer featured in the new Netflix documentary Inside the Manosphere with Louis Theroux. Moji and I watched it this week. And in summary, there is not a wall in either of our homes that did not get punched.
Not a single one. They all have my knuckle print on it. This doc is wild. It follows basically 4 Manosphere influencers and a guy who's a professional penis extender. That is his title. Oh my gosh. These men are basically between 24 and 40, and they've made so much money as influencers. And the common theme is that women are the #1 obstacle to your success.
I mean, this documentary, there's so much to unpack, so we're going to unpack a little bit of it. First of all, Moji, I think it should have just been called Sorry About Your Penis, because one guy's driving not one but 2 Lamborghinis. They literally have a penis extender expert on it. They're all jacked up workout heads. You can just tell the inferiority of everything that has presented to them is just wrapped up into blaming women for their unfuckableness.
And they don't hang with women who challenge them, right? They only choose to hang with women who sign up with this, and this has given them permission to espouse these conservative views, but they don't actually hold themselves to conservative values. It's actually really, really disturbing because it's Trumpy. There's no accountability. And the grift is so blatant, Liz. It's so blatant.
Well, I would even say to just yes and you, it's not that they don't hang with women that don't challenge them. As they follow each of these 4 around, none of them have anyone that challenges them. They are all mini Trumps in their own way. It's anybody who they just get yes to death by their whole circle. Their whole circle is just sycophants who basically are on a payroll or just people who worship them to do their bidding. But the truth is, as you follow each of them along, there's this recurring theme that you have to have money so that you can have a lifestyle that can dominate women or have women in it. Basically saying we are so useless and we are so uninteresting and we are so completely disgusting that the only way we can have any kind of inner circle, social circle, or power is if we have money. So you better get rich, loser men, because if you don't, you will never get laid. And women hold all the power because this was an ongoing theme for all of them. Women hold all the power because we have vaginas, so we are gatekeepers to their dicks and need to be controlled.
And it's really wild because the idea that they felt entitled to women's vaginas, right? That was part of it. It was like, oh, if I have the money, I have the entitlement to this. It almost, I don't know. It was really painful to watch, Liz. It was really painful to watch because these are essentially younger sibling potentials, right? These are
They're the up and coming of like the Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Manosphere that the regular public knows. I think the part of it that was so freaky to me was I had only heard of one of them, and it was the older one that was 40, whose name is Justin Waller. And this guy was like a construction worker who became an influencer and became this kind of bro influencer who has a wife. And they all believe in this thing that's like one-way monogamy where the women are monogamous, but the men can fuck whoever they want. And this guy came across my feed. And I think the reason that he came across my feed is because a man in my family follows this guy. Yikes. And that really freaked me out on Instagram because I watched some of his videos and I was like, gross. He's in the Instagram. He was kind of gross, just like a creepy rich guy that I'm like, ugh, creepy rich guy. And then listening to how this guy espoused dominance and that women have their place, and then knowing that this relative of mine followed him really bummed me out.
I had not heard of him, but the one I'd heard of was Myron Gaines.
Mm-hmm. He's the guy in the clip, right?
Yeah, he's the guy in the clip that we just saw, and he lives in Miami. And just, I don't follow any Menosphere influencers, but his anti-women stuff has absolutely come across my page in random ways. This is hilarious, Liz. And by hilarious, I mean tear-inducing. He actually led a lecture called Why Women Deserve Less. A university hired him to come in and have this lecture.
The University of South Carolina.
Incredible. I love the part where you brought up they essentially use their working out. It really is a drug. They sort of suck kids in, like, get fit. And then they add in these, like, also fuck women, also make money. Also, if you don't fuck women, make money, and get fit, you have no value.
Yeah, so it's like a devaluing of men as well. And I think in the overarching part of this Manosphere documentary that I think is important is throughout the documentary, you see how much young men are influenced by these guys. When we say it's like the next generation, it's like they look up to Andrew Tate. They look up to because they're the next generation of, and their shit scarier and worse. And the reason that we don't hear about them is that they're on platforms that, quite frankly, I know I might sound old, shit that I don't even know exists, or places that I never go. Telegram is a cesspool. They have these weird secret places. And when you have a guy who is leading with like working out and then kind of combining that working out with Johnny Knoxville pranks, and then all of a sudden this messaging around how women are to blame for unsuccessful things. The thing that freaks me out is that if somebody, a young boy, 12 to 15, who's coming into puberty, coming into awkwardness, stumbles upon these guys who seem fun and they're working out. And then the subliminal message to them is, oh, you're awkward. It's fine. You know, we all have gone through it. We'll all get past it. They stop them and start a foundational thought that anything they can't have, or just awkwardness that happens, heartbreak and stuff when you're young, is because of women, and that we're evil and we're manipulating them so that to keep them down. That feels really scary.
It feels really scary. And some of them overtly just say, like, women shouldn't vote. Women shouldn't have power. We should, in fact, be dominating them. Also, Liz, you finished the documentary before I did. And one of my questions was like, oh my gosh, are these all like white nationalists? And what really shocked me when I saw the documentary is that most of these children were not white. They were non-white, multiracial, Black, Filipino, one white guy. But this is also, as a parent to a Black child who is entering middle school and who was a boy, it is disturbing to me that these are the things he could find online. And honestly, before I saw this documentary, Liz, only one of them existed in the world to me.
Yeah, same with me. But then, we looked at the results of the election, right? And we saw this uptick in the Trumposphere of Black and Latino men, of even East and West African men. There's an uptick in men of color and black men in following that. And I think that, let's be honest, patriarchy has created this culture where nobody can succeed. And for them to then in turn blame women who had nothing to do with building this structure
and little to do with maintaining it.
Are you fucking kidding me that you're going to try to tell me that you are blaming women, that you can't succeed in the structure you built? You can fuck yourself and die in 100 ways on this fucking hill, because I am not having it. It's really a mess.
It's also kind of wild seeing people who have had some success, right? I can decry their success, but they're performing wealth on a pretty high level. They have enough followers. I'm sure that they are making tons and tons of money. And so they are successful. So to also be successful by the patriarchal capitalist metrics we have, and to still be like, no, 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 I have made it, to still blame women. Like, you are not calling from the gutter or from under some woman. You are actually out there being misogynistic and still blaming women as you have the power to be misogynistic.
Well, it's also, too, all four of these people were the exception, not the rule, to becoming influencers that make a shit ton of money and then have this creepy life. And so then they have all these followers who want to emulate that and won't. And so the only message that these kids will take is if they don't succeed to become like these guys, that somehow women are the problem for them not succeeding. So on top of it all,
guys hoarding the wealth on the upper echelons of influencer success being the barrier to more people being there. It's also interesting because I know fitness is always a gateway, and like for the Alex Jones and for the Joe Rogan, a lot of their money is made on supplements. And what I noted, particularly with one character, Harrison Sullivan, who is in Europe. He is not in the US.
Why is he not in the US, Moji?
Oh, well, he's not in London because he had a hit and run and was wanted by the British authorities for fleeing the country. He was in Spain. So he's still in Europe, but he was in Spain for most of the documentary. But at one point, Louis Theroux, the director, downloads his app, which allows you to do like online gambling or like online stock trading. And essentially, over the course of the documentary, he notices the $500 he put in just disappearing. He lost money, but he could tell that Harrison, in fact, did make money. So it's also a theft, a grift, right? From the people who are looking to you for inspiration.
We've given you a pretty sort of meaty overview of who these people are. And we thought it was super important for us to talk about this because I think so often liberals and progressives just get it wrong and don't really understand who the influencers are of young people, of young men. It's not necessarily, we just sort of say Fox News like we say Kleenex, as sort of this like catch-all. But the amount of influence that these folks have is outsized and it's very important. And not only is it influencing young adult men, but also up and coming men who are vulnerable and who they can help shape and frame who they are. So my question to you is, do you think it's important for people to watch this documentary? Or do you not?
So going into watching the documentary, I did not think so. I was actually like, we don't need to give them more air. We don't need to give them more streams. We don't need to encourage this. I don't actually need to see 5 more Menosphere documentaries. And so I don't want Netflix to think that's what I want. However, having watched it and having seen how the anti-abortion movement really expands in the vacuum of us not looking at them, I think it is really, really important to look. And as a parent, again, of a young growing child who is at the cusp of prepubescence, right? Is in prepubescence, moving into puberty. It is important for me to know the people he might encounter online so that I can have meaningful conversations about them, or at least spot names. If my son says Sneeko at any point, we are sitting down and having a chat.
Yeah. Who knows what these spaces are that young men are going, what they think is funny, and then what they're indoctrinated in for the thing. So I 100% agree. I think you need to watch it because I think that we're naive to think we know, and we can't fight battles if we don't know the tactics of those who are influencing the people in our lives, right? How do we get in early? And also, let's talk about just the women. I don't want women to also be raised to think that their role is such and that this is an exciting place to be. So I would say it's important to watch it to learn where people are literally getting their misogyny these days and how prevalent it is.
Yeah, 1000% agree. Oh, I did need 1,000 showers after it was over, Liz, because whoa.
The Silkwood shower is definitely inevitably a thing that one needs to do it. And Moji, we're not done talking about terrible men. Are we ever? I don't think so.
Are we ever?
It never stops. So we're going to go back in time 150 years to terrible men when we know, we've talked about it a bunch on the pod, the fate of medication abortion is partially in the hands of a law that is still on the books from 1873, written by another horrible dude named Anthony Comstock. And so we've got some calls to action around that. Senator Tina Smith and some representatives in the House have the Stop Comstock Act bill, and we want everybody to sign on to Stop Comstock so we can bring it to the floor and get a vote on it so that we can stop the Comstock Act, which, Moji, tell them what this creepy ass law is and does.
So you may not have heard of it, but the Comstock Act makes it illegal to send anything related to abortion through the mail. And this involves medication abortion, tools, even information about abortion. It's a literal Victorian morality law that was passed because this random dude named Comstock went on a crusade to eliminate lust from society, and his bitch ass had to just rope abortion into it.
And it seems like this documentary on the Manosphere is ripping the lust out of my loins also. So getting rid of lust seems to be the plan of men all around. So check to see if your reps have signed on to the Stop Comstock Act. And if they haven't, call them up right now and tell them to get rid of this archaic ass shit right now and save abortion from the ghost of prudes past. We will have that link of where you can go to find out in our bio.
Fuck yeah. And secondly, our next bit of activism for you to jump on this week is our mutual aid program called Adopt a Clinic. And Adopt a Clinic is a fantastic way for the public to support independent clinics, abortion funds, clinic escort groups, and patients directly by ordering much needed items from those organizations' wish lists.
And by the public, we mean you.
Yes.
So in choosing the Adopt a Clinic we wanted to support this week brought us to a news story that a man in Montana last week was charged with planning to kill a local abortion provider. So we decided Montana is where we are showing love this week. So we're showcasing the Blue Mountain Clinic in Missoula, which offers safe, compassionate, and confidential abortion care, gender-affirming care, family medicine, and more. So they've asked us for some patient care as well as some staff care. So patient care like fuzzy socks and period pads, and they wanted to help their staff fill their break room with some sweet and salty snacks. So you can go to our website, aafront.org, and you can find our Adopt a Clinic section and go down there and help the Blue Mountain Clinic in Missoula.
And thirdly, support us. Support us at Abortion Access
Do
Fund.
it!
And sign up for our Patreon, right? If you're not already a Patreon member, now's the time to sign up. You'll support great content and get really cool FBK merch and experiences. And you could get a birthday shout out. Spend some birthday money on us. We will celebrate you.
That's right. So, and remember, if you sign up for our Patreon, all the pledges support not only this pod, but all of our activism at Abortion Access Front. So it's very easy. You just pledge at patreon.com/feminist Buzzkills.
We'll put the link to all of these call to actions in our show notes. If you're not writing right now, you can check it out as soon as you look at your phone. Now, before we get to our incredible lineup of interviews, and it is a doozy of incredibleness, it's time for a steaming dump of this week's abortion news.
Poo poo poo! Okay, America's next top vaginal dryness model, Josh Hawley, is busy this week pushing legislation that would strip FDA approval of medication abortion that, if passed, would basically be a national abortion ban.
It's also rumored Hawley will be proposing a new abstinence-only curriculum that discourages teens from having sex in a series of videos featuring Hawley and his wife Erin simply describing having sex with each other. Ew.
That's worse than the Menosphere.
I think so. Absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah.
And over in Georgia, police have charged a woman with murder for allegedly taking an abortion pill, even though the state law explicitly says you cannot charge someone trying to end a pregnancy with homicide.
Well, the police report was riddled with errors, referring to abortion medication as a narcotic and claiming they confiscated her pill bottle like it's some Hallmark Channel reboot of Valley of the Dolls.
Just so gross. I mean, the trauma is real, but luckily for now, from state to state, cops attempting to charge pregnant people with murder have been laughed out of the court like cops at the Afro Man trial.
Maybe we need to make a music video mocking these assholes for their bullshit.
Maybe? Yes. Yes, indeed, we should. Or we could just be like Spain, because Spain's courts remain undefeated as the Madrid High Court of Justice ordered the city's authorities to immediately start creating a registry of doctors who object to performing abortions. This is great news for anyone in Madrid who would prefer to have a doctor who practices medicine using medical texts rather than religious texts.
Meanwhile, here in the uterine gulag of America, we also have a registry of fake clinics who object to performing abortion. And that list was not compiled by the government, but by us. Literally, Abortion Access Front compiled that list.
So, get out there and be like Spain or Afro Man and never picture Josh Hawley and his wife raw dogging.
Ew.
This has been your steaming news down.
So gross.
So gross.
Yeah, no, let's move on to talk to our incredible guest because we've got this. You know, Liz, two things there is a deafening silence on is abortion and menopause. In fact, the loudest people having these conversations are either anti-abortion or male-gazy and definitely don't center people with uteruses.
It's so true. So we are going to do a whole ass, loud ass, long ass discussion on all of the pauses, peri, meno, and post-meno. And we brought the experts. Please welcome director and creator of Menopunks, the podcast, and Menopunks, the documentary, Alicia J. Rose, and menopause specialist and co-host of the Dusty Muffins podcast, Dr. Aoife O'Sullivan.
Aoife, Alicia, welcome. Hello.
Hey, Aoife. Hey, Alicia.
Thanks. We're so glad to be here. Yay.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk to you both. I just want to start with a really simple question.
Yeah.
Why did no one tell me? Like, I'm sorry, that feels like the universal outcry for like every generation that's come after second wave feminism. Can we just talk about the societal bullshit that has led to this silence, that has led us to be bitch slapped by our bodies and their hormonal changes without any preparation?
Dude, it's the real deal, man. None of us, I feel like Gen X in general, and of course, lost generation boomers, nobody knows about menopause because the boomers specifically were in the crosshairs of what I consider, and I think Aoife considers, to be one of the greatest crimes against women of all time. So we have like 25 years of bullshit that's caused our mothers to sort of avoid menopause, to not talk about it. I call it menopause blindness, where like the boomers just don't even, they're like, it was easy, I don't remember, it's fine. And it's like, okay, but like I'm in a living hell. So why didn't you tell me what the fuck was going on? It's not fair. What do you think, Aoife?
Oh, I think if you talk to any of the boomer women, they will tell you they flew through menopause, didn't have a problem. And then you say, well, can I have a look at your medication list? And they're on a medicine for anxiety, for depression, for sleep, for high cholesterol, for high blood pressure, for diabetes. And I say, well, honey, you did not fly through menopause because these are all hormone related issues. And also we have nursing homes, private nursing homes all over this country, packed to the brim with broken, fragile women in there after urinary sepsis, in there after hip fractures, in there with dementia, all of which we think are hormone connected, you know? Alzheimer's, we're not as sure, but hip fractures for sure.
What do they call this new generation? Generation Jones, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm like very, very tail end of boomer, but really everyone thinks I'm Gen X person.
Yeah.
And my mom was one of those people who just like everything about her got smaller, you know, like, and so it was just like they really didn't know how to demand their value.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, I am shouting it from the rooftops all the time, freaking Moji out as she enters Peri, just freaking all my friends out in a way that's like, but it's okay. Like, look at me. I look great. It is another phase of life that needs to be managed like anything. You know, babies have to learn to walk. They're not like, well, why didn't anybody tell me about legs and moving and falling? You know, like that didn't happen. You guys are doing a great service.
I think there's a couple things to think about. One, menopause is menopause, right? It exists. We are the only land-based mammal that really experiences menopause. The idea of menopause being natural, we are going to lose the ability to reproduce, but we as women it's new for us to live past 50, right? If you think about 150 years ago, we weren't living past 50. So we were generally dying by menopause.
Sometimes in childbirth.
Often in childbirth. So easy to be a woman. It's great. It's kind of a new phase. We're living in a new era, and the boomers are part of that. But menopause is natural, sure, but a lot of things are unnatural about menopause, like being alive at 70 without hormones. You can say that's natural, but also if you're able to get hormones, that's just as natural. This is what's in your body. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Then we'll be like, I'm fine, I don't need it, it's natural, but it's not really natural to be alive at that place. We're in a new phase of reality where we really are accessing and enjoying the modernity of medicine, right? Like this is how it's going. But our mothers, unfortunately, like they trusted doctors and they got shafted. And now we're in the position to kind of pick up the pieces and try to make sense of it all and have maybe not as miserable an experience.
And think about the doctors our mothers were trusting. They were in their gyno exams smoking.
Right.
And then basically like calling them hysterical and basically jerking off our mothers and being like, how does that feel? Better? Oh, great. So that's your therapy. Like shit was so friggin' nuts.
To understand the trajectory of how it was then for our mothers and to how it is now, what happened in 2002. You guys know about the Women's Health Initiative and what went down with all of that?
I know exactly
tell
what it
our
is.
audience.
I want you to tell the audience. I'm Gen X. I'm 50 this year, and I remember that warning. And it was probably just on the precipice of my adulthood, right? I was probably like 20 something, young 20 something, and I was just like, "Whoa, so glad that's not going to happen to me." And then here I am.
Same. I was like, what do I care? Menopause, like 30.
That's like in a billion years. So tell our audience what happened and tell them about the study.
Aoife, do you want to throw
Thanks,
down?
Alicia. Me too, Moji. I am 50 in a couple of weeks. And I had left medical school in 2001. And it was the next summer, it was 2002, July, when this big announcement was made all over the world, splashed all over the front pages of the news, on every news channel, about how hormones could increase your risk of getting breast cancer by 25%. It was absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
So back then, now we can log on to our journals online, our medical journals. They're all at our fingertips. But back then, by the time a piece of news came out like that, it would be another couple of weeks before you had that journal in your hand to actually look at the numbers or the study itself. And that's what actually happened. So when they did that Women's Health Initiative study, it was designed as a heart study. They were pretty sure that hormones were very protective against heart disease, diabetes, dementia. We got our first female lead of the NIH in the early 90s, and she got a lot of funding for women's health research. And she and others decided to do a study on older women to see if women who hadn't been on hormones, and you put them on hormones 10, 20 years into menopause, if you could still prevent that first heart attack or stroke. And so if you're doing any hormone study, you must keep an eye on any tumors that could be hormone related. So things like uterine cancer or breast cancer. And so the whole 5 years the study went on, there was this baseline risk of breast cancer, and you just saw the numbers go up and down over that baseline, just as you would expect. And at some point along that line, they just decided to call it quits and say they were stopping the study because there was this increased risk of breast cancer. And so by the time the doctors got that journal into their hand to see, oh, that's not statistically significant, that study should have continued, those numbers didn't mean anything, it was too late. Pretty much every woman had been pulled off their hormones, thrown into the toilet, flushed down the toilet. Doctors' offices were just inundated with phone calls every day from terrified women. And doctors were scared too. I mean, first do no harm, and something we'd been doing, thinking we were helping women, was actually causing harm. That's horrendous. So you're going to pull everyone off that you can as quickly as possible.
I was 40 at the time, and I also have a sister. My mom took thalidomide, and I had a sister. Now, my sister was fine, but my mom took thalidomide. And so that thalidomide scare, I think, scared the shit out of people, right? Because it's the very thing we're talking about, right? Here's a drug. We thought we were doing great. And then we're just causing birth defects all over the place. So it feels so wild how a study about this kind of thing wouldn't come with any kind of risk involving these kind of people with these kind of other factors, and that it just became a blanket thing, and that we were all the same person. That's the thing that I just can't get past, that it was just so easy for the medical community to go, fuck this shit. Let's just tell them all that they should all get off of it.
Well, I have a couple of theories about this, which is part of why I'm making Menopunks. Keep in mind, in the 90s, the hormones were massive. It was really a big deal. By 2002, when all of this happened, we were at 40% of women on hormones. It was like, is this the fountain of youth? Is this going to change lives? Can we take this till we die? It's basically where we are now in this conversation, minus 25 years. So that was the conversation then in 2002. What Aoife said happened, right? These statistically insignificant results were pulled forward. I believe part of the fault goes to the Golden Girls.
Explained.
In doing our due diligence for the film and the podcast, we talked to a lot of researchers and doctors who were involved. And I talked to a researcher who was involved in the WHI. And he was like, did you know that to enlist 165,000 women into the WHI, they use the Golden Girls as their spokespeople to get them in? And remember, in 1993, when the WHI happened, the Golden Girls were at their peak of popularity. That was right about when their last season happened. I've done the research. To get 165,000 women in 1993, this was the biggest study ever that included women, maybe the first real large study that included women. It was news that this study was happening at all. This is the Clinton era, Hillary Clinton. Like Aoife said, there was a new woman at the head of the NIH. Everything was shifting. Third wave feminism was coming up. Riot Girl was coming up. And suddenly we've got the Golden Girls saying, hey, help your sister, help your mother, help your friend, be a part of this study that will change and evolve women's health. It was very optimistic. So by the time 2002 happened, I think they utilized pop culture in an inverse Golden Girls way, where they had created a portal of knowledge and understanding and just press about this whole Women's Health Initiative study that then kind of became this sort of vortex of nightmare because everybody was like, ooh, this is going to change everything. And now it's going to kill us. Oh my God. The second part is look at the fact that suddenly, we had 9/11 in 2001. Then we had George Bush and his band of shitbag cronies right after that, trying to sort of, make sense of what the Clintons did, right? So they're looking at this study in 2002 and they're like, well, the real results, as Aoife said, were kind of nil. It was good for, younger women, not as good for older women. It was up and down with cancer risk. They didn't want that answer. They wanted an answer. They wanted a press headline. They wanted to be the heroes. So instead, they went with the narrative of HRT causes breast cancer and they doubled, tripled down on it, and it gave them the headlines they wanted. But what it did was take away access, information, and basically all of midlife care for over 23 years for all women. And it didn't just affect the women in the States, it affected everybody globally because we're the gold standard of medicine.
Aoife, I would love for you to level set for us, because as you talk and as you are saying this, I am immediately like, this is just a way to also give men permission to discard us, right? To find sexual beings who are more in a different prime. But I do firmly believe part of this whole thing is you are entering menopause, but we've all experienced erasure. Yeah. And what does that erasure look like? And how does that erasure factor into doubling down on a study that says these drugs that make you vibrant, whole, independent, thriving, and therefore challenging a narrative that these old fucks that we're stuck with, we want to be stuck with them. So Aoife, either talk me off the ledge or expand upon my theory that this is all a conspiracy.
No, because I'm on that ledge with you. So this was the biggest woman study that had ever been done. And do you know who they put in charge of it? A man. His name is Jacques Rousseau. He's a cardiologist. And he was put in charge of this women's study that was $1 billion. And he is on record as saying, I'm paraphrasing, we need to get women off this HRT bandwagon before he was put in charge of the WHI study.
Oh, so he came in with an agenda.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. He came in with an agenda. And so this was a massive study. It was countrywide. There were so many doctors involved, and every 6 months they would meet up and have a kind of boring meeting. Everything going okay? Yeah, okay, everyone off you go. And they all turned up for this meeting in July 2002 and expecting their usual. And what they were met with was a small group of people who presented them with an article they had written for JAMA, the Journal of American Medicine, and press releases that they were going to release to the press. And so everyone was completely taken aback. This was a very small group who had made this decision to stop this massive countrywide study because of an increased risk of breast cancer. And so they were given some time to look over the numbers, and all the statisticians in the room were like, wait a second, this makes no sense. These numbers don't add up. There isn't an increased incidence of breast cancer. So we need to change that article. We need to change these media releases. And they said, sure, okay, well, we'll give you a couple hours over lunch to rewrite it and then we'll send it over. And so they worked their asses off and came up with a rewritten and couriered it over to JAMA. And they said, oh, sorry, guys, this is already printed and it's in the warehouses ready to mail out. So they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yep.
When you look at them on the news reports from 2002, how they speak about the numbers, it's very obvious that there's relative risk and there's actual risk. And so when you're trying to get across to somebody how safe something is or how risky it is, you speak in actual risk because that's numbers. People can make sense of that. Relative risk could mean anything if you don't know the numbers. So instead of saying over 5 years, 4 women out of 1,000 in the general population get breast cancer, and the women on the hormone study, 5 women out of 1,000 got breast cancer, which aren't even accurate numbers, but let's say they were. They said 25% more women get breast cancer when they take hormones. So 4 women out of 1,000 to 5 women, 4 to 5, 25%. So that makes a big difference, right? When you know those numbers, it's not 1 in 4 women.
Yeah.
Which is what they would lead you to believe. Yeah.
I'm not a math person and I understand that.
They knew damn well what they were doing.
They did.
Yeah. That's why I'm on the ledge with you, Liz.
It's astounding. And Moji and I talk about this a lot, where it's just like, what am I to expect? I'm in perimenopause. I don't even know what my body's supposed to do. The 3-headed hydra that is perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. Generalized what one can expect and why these HRT are so valuable now that we know that they are safe.
Perimenopause is a sneaky ass bitch, often starting around when you're like 35. I didn't know this. I had no idea. I didn't really realize what was going on in my body until I was probably late 40s, but it was happening. So remember, perimenopause sneaks in, and it could be smaller things like you're not sleeping very well, you're starting to have muscle pain or joint pain or
cuntier than usual.
Yeah, cuntier than usual. My fucking teeth were falling out. That was a nightmare. I was breaking teeth. It affects bone health.
Or your gyno says, like, we should just think about this. That's what my doctor said to me, I think at like 40. She was like, oh, you're 40. We should think about perimenopause. And I was like, what should I do? She was like, I don't know.
So a lot of women are going into their doctors with a million different complaints, right? And often they're told, well, let's just wait and see. Or maybe that's perimenopause. Or the person's like, I'm in perimenopause. I know it. And they're like, you're not suffering quite enough. We need to wait. Now, that's perimenopause. And I think part of why that's happening is we've been dealing with this misinformation for so long that it's deeply baked into the medical system. And that means it's deeply baked into insurance and liability. So a lot of doctors are just trained to tell you no, A, because they don't have the education, B, because it could be dangerous for them to be prescribing something that might cause breast cancer, right? But here's when you're in perimenopause or menopause, which is technically a year after your last period, the symptoms, they shift, but they're all kind of still there. You're suffering from hormone deficiency, whether it's in perimenopause or menopause or postmenopause. It's all really a spectrum. It's a continuum, right? So a lot of women will go to the doctor like you did, Moji, and be like, or maybe not know what the hell's going on. Your doctor's like, we should keep an eye on it. But don't you want help if you're feeling bad, right? Most people are told no. So one thing that happened in November that we really need to keep in mind when thinking about all of this and take as a tool with us into the doctor's office, if we're being told this, is that in November, the FDA, the motherfucking FDA with horrible RFK, appointed this dude, Marty McCary, to the FDA to head it up. And he had personal experience with his mother dying in older age from a hormone deficient related disease. And he had it as the hill he's going to die on, that he could take away this problem, these black box warnings from all of hormone therapy. And he fucking did it. So in November, we had this massive thing like Advancing Women's Health was this huge sort of press conference. And now they really are in the process of taking these black box warnings off. Now that is massive. It's kind of gotten sucked and pulled away into the echo chamber of everything and the news cycle that we're in right now, which is terrible, but we have to take it and we have to use it. Yes, bad messenger, but good message.
Alicia, I'm a test case of that. I was 20 something, early 20s when the study came out, and I was like, okay, I guess no HRT for me. And I don't trust this FDA. This is RFK, Marty, crazy people. But I was like an in peri, I think, and I was seeing reports like, oh, actually starting HRT sooner than later is good for you.
Yeah.
I got a prescription, got an estrogen patch, and hadn't realized that I had been suffering from night sweats. I had just been suffering. I just waking up like, oh, I guess I have a heating pad. I guess I'm just hot.
I understand why anyone would be suspicious of anything coming from that FDA at the moment. Okay. They have an agenda. God knows why they've done this, but I am going to take it as a win because that black box warning should never ever have been on estrogen in the first place. Even when you look at the arm of the study in the Women's Health Initiative where women were just on estrogen, which you can be if you've had a hysterectomy, because if you still have your uterus and we're giving you estrogen, we must also give you some type of progesterone to protect the lining of the uterus, or else it gets thicker and thicker and could increase your risk of uterine cancer. So there were women who had had a hysterectomy, they'd no uterus, they were just on estrogen, and what we saw after 7 years was a decreased incidence of breast cancer by 23%. And that stays true to this day, 20-something years later, those women have a decreased incidence of breast cancer. So that type of old estrogen was very protective for the breast, it seems. Never ever should that black box warning have gone on estrogen products to say estrogen causes breast cancer, because it was categorically untrue. And so I know the messengers are bad in this case, but we have to take this as a win because it's just righting a wrong that should never have happened in the first place. And Moji, you having symptoms and not even realizing you were having symptoms is so common. When I'm teaching doctors, I always say, look out for the woman who has come to you once every so often for a pap smear, and now she's coming to you frequently. She's got plantar fasciitis, tennis elbow. She doesn't play tennis. She's got headaches, stomach aches and pains, itchy ears, these weird symptoms, suddenly getting cavities and has never had cavities in her life. These are all signs of our hormones dropping. And I heard an old Indian proverb about a group of blind men who were told to touch an elephant. They didn't know it was an elephant and describe what they felt. And so the person touching the tusk thought it was a spear. The person touching the ear thought it was like a frisbee. The person touching the tail thought it was a rope. And that's what it's like in medicine now. Everything is so specialized that no one is seeing the big picture and joining the dots. And that's your family doctor's job, really, to be able to join the dots like that. But if they haven't been trained, which we haven't, then how do you do it?
We are in a midlife healthcare desert, but Menopunks is trying to create a tidal wave of demand and change through musicians, through creative people, through artists to see this change once and for all so we can fucking overthrow the government together strong.
That's right, with our big, juicy labias back. Well, maybe not that close enough. What we haven't really talked about is shit that happens to your body in menopause.
Gnarly.
And perimenopause. I've just
All
feel
of
like it's a whole umbrella.
I mean, the menopause trifecta. It just goes from, Moji, you're having night sweats.
Past tense, because I'm on estradiol now.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's other things, right? Aoife talked about the other thing, because my sister, who's just a year younger than me, a few months ago, was like, I have plantar fasciitis and I'm here now, it's perimenopause. And that was the first I'd heard it. It was wonderful hearing a doctor back that up now. But like, there's so many things in this. Ear itching? What?
Dude, I have like weird gorilla hairs growing out of my ears now and weird patchy, some sort of weird patchy skin thing. I put some estradiol vaginal cream on that shit. Let me tell you what, gone overnight. Don't underestimate the power of vaginal estrogen. That shit is like gold in a tube. Every woman should get it at the age of 40, just issued from some like pharmacy in the sky. But look, the symptoms are really, it's important to talk about how varied they are. In every interview I do for the film, I basically make every person, every musician read through a list of 30 symptoms and tell us whether or not they had them before. If they weren't hormonally optimized, kind of let us know what they had. And if they became hormonally optimized, what went away. And it's kind of wild. Generally, it's like 90% go away. And that list of 30, now I keep, I'm like watching all these internet videos because of the podcast and our internet thing. And it's like up to 100. We don't even really know. There's such shitty research on menopause and perimenopause that like the amount of things that we experience. I mean, what about like all these autoimmune diseases that women are, they're dealing with, not knowing what it is, whether it's Epstein-Barr to fibromyalgia. These are oftentimes conflated for being autoimmune, but really they're hormonal deficiency. It's just confusing because what we have to realize is there are hormone receptors, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone receptors in every fucking cell of our body. So what does that mean when it starts going away? Well, in perimenopause, it means that you're fine, then you're not fine. Then why is my brain foggy? And why does my hip hurt now? Do I have hip cancer? You're still getting your period. So you're like, why am I feeling this? Maybe something else is wrong with me, right? And when you go ask ask about it, your doctor's like, it's like you sort of get boxed into not feeling shitty enough to get help, which is really where part of the problem is because of the misinformation that occurred and still is just rampant in our entire lives, not just the medical system, but in the press, in the internet, all of it. We're fighting against it. And even though the FDA came out in November saying, oh, sorry, ladies, it was a mistake. Oops. 25 years of hell spiraling for all of you. Oops. I mean, should it surprise us? We know what's gone on with abortion and women's health and everything. It's all connected, right? This is just one more pathway to fuck with us.
Yep.
Yeah. And the silence around talking about abortion and the silence around talking around menopause, keep it stigmatized, keep it shut up. Finding out that both of your labias can like reduce and sometimes disappear. That was a thing that I keep telling everybody and they're like, that can't be true. And I'm like, it's fucking true.
Liz has been shouting that from the rooftops for months. And just today, one of my son's parents called me and was like, I've lost a labia. And I was like...
You know what's super fucked up about that? This is what's really crazy. So vaginal estrogen, which I just mentioned, has even till now, that black box warning's not off. It's come with a black box warning that is like incredibly intimidating, part of which says that it causes probable dementia, heart disease. Their vaginas have dried up into like sad prune town and they're just like, come on. And there's this thing that they hear is great for it. They're with their partner or by themselves. They're opening it up and they're like, okay, this is going to help me. But it says that I'm going to get probable dementia. Do I give up my brain for my puss? Like, what do I do? That's not fair. But the reality is vaginal estrogen is like the safest thing you could ever possibly use. Women who are in active cancer can use it. And that can help with your dryness in a way that is kind of game changing. It's life changing. Within a week, you have your vagina back. What? If you're completely dried out, it can take a minute. It takes time. It's an evolution for everybody. And also, hormone therapy is not a panacea. If you start on hormone therapy, it might not fix everything. But if you're also eating better and you're quitting alcohol and you stop smoking and you start taking care of your body in your 50s and your 40s, that will change things too. So those black box warning that Aoife talked about, those are leaving, but it's going to take time. That's a fucking problem. That is why I started the podcast, because women need to know right now how to self-advocate, what the facts are, what the misinformation is, how to get help, and how to basically go in like a motherfucking punk rocker and demand care, which is unfortunately what we have to do right now with abortion, with hormonal care. And we have to hormonally radicalize a generation or two or three so that they understand that hormonal care should be accessed not just by women who are perimenopausal, but women who are menopausal, and then women who are way past menopause.
That's me. Let me tell you what. Yes.
Are you on HRT?
Yes, I take estriol. And everybody advised me not to because my mom had 3 heart attacks. So I didn't go on it until 2 years ago. A year and a half ago. So I was just like living my dried up, itchy vaginal truth, walking through the world. And, you know, the other thing too, I have good teeth, right? I have certain things, but also we also have osteoporosis in my family. Like there's all this other shit. I was going to call my book when I came out, Punk Rock Saved My Skin, because I spent all of my good skin years in rock clubs and not in the sun. And now I feel like punk rock is saving my vagina because of Menopunks and all of this. So
what was the pink pill radicalizing moment that made you, Alicia, like you talked to Aoife and you were like, oh my gosh, everything I've heard is wrong. Everything I'm doing is suffering that is unnecessary. Like the fuck.
So I started thinking about making this movie. I was going to call it something different. It was going to be about me and my musician friends finding relief in HRT. We had played in the early 90s, kind of gotten waylaid by misery and fucking perimenopause and menopause, then came back to it. We're like standing outside of a show one night. We're all in our mid 50s and we're like, oh, when are we going to play another show? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what is this beautiful madness? We are all in our mid to late 50s in rock bands having the best time. And then I realized we're all on HRT. I was like, oh, maybe this is a movie. So that was the beginning of my journey with Menopunks. But then one of my producers was like, well, don't you want to talk to someone about menopause? And I was like, yes, yes. So she connected me with Dr. O'Sullivan, Aoife, down here in the pod. She invited us, me and my producer Laura, to this incredible conference she was putting on called the Portland Menopause Conference. For like 6 hours, I got thoroughly fucking pink pilled in every way, where what Aoife then kind of expounded upon at this conference was there was people conspiring to come up with a false fucking narrative to malevolently change things, to hurt us. I do not think this was an accident. I believe it was intentional. And I think what Aoife kind of alerted me to, yeah, that's right. This is what actually happened. And this is why we're in this situation. And we need help getting out, because if we don't find a way out of this, we're going to keep suffering. And I believe that the political moment we're in now is connected to women being systemically disempowered for over 2 decades.
Aoife, you bring your expertise as a menopause specialist to the film. Can you talk about what excited you about participating in this film?
Oh, it was Alicia's energy that got me so excited, and her goals to educate women, to teach them to advocate for themselves, to know not to accept a no. And I just really wanted to be a part of that because I love seeing patients. It's a big part of my life, but I love teaching as well. And so being a part of this and being able to do that has meant the world to me, really.
She's such a badass. Oh my God.
You too, Alicia.
I love having Aoife in the film. She is an incredible expert and really such a wonderful human. She's actually seeing 3 of our main participants as part of the film for 6 months of hormonal care. So part of what we're doing at the film is modeling what good, educated, empathetic, compassionate hormonal care looks like. So as part of this film, 3 of our musicians who weren't receiving any kind of hormonal care are now right now in the middle of a 6-month process. Very generous.
Incredible.
Incredible. What do you think is the big takeaway from the Menopunks film, from the podcast, from even this podcast? Like, if there was one thing you could yell out to somebody out of your car window as you're driving by that you would want them to retain, what would that be, just around this whole thing?
Yeah, I think what Alicia is really pushing for is for women to advocate for themselves, just not to take no for an answer. We're at a point in medicine where women tend to know a lot more about this than some of the doctors they're seeing. And so if you know you need help and you go looking for it and you don't get it, don't give up. It shouldn't be like this. You shouldn't have to do all this work. It shouldn't be this hard. Unfortunately, it is. So don't give up and advocate for yourself and educate yourself.
You are doing a massive service to everybody. Thank you, Alicia, so much. And Moji and I are going to come on your pod and carry on this conversation. Thank you for joining us. Where can we find you, Alicia? Tell everybody all the handles and all the socials and all the websites.
Yes, find us at Instagram on Menopunks. We love Aoife O'Sullivan. She's at portlandmenopausedoc.com. If you guys are having trouble finding care, there are folks out there with sliding scales. There are naturopaths. A lot of people can actually prescribe hormones and always get a second opinion. You're not alone if you're fighting. If you've talked to 5 doctors, that's unfortunately the standard. We're online, which is Menopunks. We're on Facebook. We're all of there. We're on everything. So just find us, reach out. We are doing the work to try to give you the tools to self-advocate, to self-educate until the medical industrial complex catches up with us. So fuck them. Hooray for you. We're going to do this together, and Menopunks for the win.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, I have a million other questions, but thank you so much for coming in.
We're going to answer them when you're on my podcast. I want to hear both your stories. I want to get the dirty details. I want to talk about what you experienced, what you saw people experience around you who didn't get it, and we'll get into it. Thank you again so much for having us. Anything
so
to amplify this cause is massive. We're in a fucking crisis. Don't be fooled. I mean, we have lots of crises to deal with. We've got the abortion crisis. We've got this crisis, but this is about women getting stronger to fight the good fight. So
true.
I'll leave you with that. And I can't wait to talk to you more.
Yay!
Bye, girls.
Thanks, Alicia. You can find Alicia every place she said, and to find Aoife on IG at Portland Menopause Doc or on YouTube at the Dusty Muffins 3.
3 Dusty Muffins. Love that.
I feel like that's a medical condition. I don't know. Maybe you can research that too. Maybe we'll put that in the show notes as well, because as you know, every single thing we've talked about will be in the show notes. That's right. Show notes. And you can find all the best, most up-to-the-minute resources on accessing abortion care and funding for your care on our website, aafront.org. Our Charlie chatbot down at the bottom right will walk anyone, anywhere in the country through their options and resources to access abortion.
We do this show because this info is not given enough attention in the media. So help us spread the word and show us some love by liking, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star rating. Every little bit helps us reach more listeners.
You know, I love that conversation so much. My vagina already feels a little bit like it has a pep in its step.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And we just scratched the surface, but I'm ready to start evangelizing about the power of this gender affirming care.
I love that you said scratch the surface when that's one of the symptoms of menopause. Scratchy surface.
Liz, everything is a symptom of menopause. Every single thing that happens over 30. Listen, before I get to more ranting, shall we introduce our next guest?
Indeed, let's. Well, we love our next guest, one of our reoccurring guests, and they're an expert ranter, so we're all in fine company. She's a stand-up comic, best-selling author, producer, actress, and founder of the Tiny Reparations Books imprint. Her second stand-up special, I Don't Want to Work Anymore, is out now and is hilarious. Please welcome the one and only Phoebe Robinson. Hey, Phoebe.
Hi, Phoebe.
Hi, how's it going, y'all?
Okay, who knows?
You are, however, really, really busy and the work is on fire. How are you parsing that out yourself?
I'm 41. Hollywood, at least the way that we understand it, is crumbling before our eyes. I think everyone who's like pursuing entertainment and writing, acting, all the paths are being eroded. So now we have to create new paths. So I think I'm just in a very zen place about it where I'm like, everything's on fire. So I'm just going to write my stand up, focus on my book, do my daily rants on Instagram. Everything else is outside of my control. Like, I think I just fully accept that, where before I was always like, oh, if I just work hard enough and I do X, Y, Z, and it's just like, you can't control what the results are going to be. So it's helping me actually be a better creative because I'm really just focusing on what I'm trying to do instead of, whatever gatekeepers who like don't want to do stuff I'm doing because I'm not centering white people in a TV show idea or like whatever the case may be. I just can't control it. So it's kind of freeing, even though it's a bummer at the same time.
Your rants are, I know they're your catharsis, but they're also the catharsis for all of us. Seriously, I sometimes will just pray to Christ that you have said something about something that I've seen. And then when you don't, I'm sad. But then when you do, but when you do, I am so excited. So I really need to know, with so much shit just coming into your world,
Yeah.
what are your parameters for stopping and being like, this one deserves a bitch?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Bitch. It all depends. Like sometimes it'll be something so outrageous, like the Timothy Chalamet thing. To me, like that was just like, it was so wrapped up in ignorance and arrogance. And because people have like indulged him and acted as though he has this level of intellect, which I never saw. I never saw it. And I think that like, I always hold men, especially straight white men, to like a much higher standard when people are like, this person, geez, this person's so this and that. And I go, he's a good actor. You guys are acting like he's Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Right.
Relax.
And Gandalf. Rolled into one.
Yeah.
It's like, dude is not like bringing wisdom. He's from the Shire. He's like a worker bee at the Shire who's a good actor.
So I feel like sometimes when it's someone who just so blatantly disrespects a community because it's like cool to do it, like that's easy for me to mark and be like, let's not. Sometimes it'll be so ignorant that it makes me laugh. And I'm like, oh, I just have to have like a very intense reaction to, like, I can't just be like middle of the road. I have to be like, this either makes me mad, this stresses me out, this makes me laugh. And it's been like a lot of fun to do these videos because I kind of like stumbled into, like, the first one was about Andrew Cuomo, and I just was like, and he was like, I won't even be alone in a room with a woman because I don't want anyone to say anything. I just was like, it's the fact that you're grabbing them. That's the fucking issue, you fucking moron. It's not that people are saying something, it's that you're touching. And so I did that. I'm like, hello. And then someone like commented like, oh, I could watch you yell at people every day. And I was like, oh, well, I love to complain, so I can just do that.
You are such an inspiring complainer.
So good. It is so good. And it really is. I feel like Liz said this. It really a lot of times touches on exactly what like I wanted to hear or like what I was thinking and hadn't articulated. We were really ranting about this Harvey Weinstein one. I love that you jumped on the Timothy Chalamet, but the Harvey Weinstein one, like, why would the Hollywood Reporter think anybody in Women's History Month, as you also brought up, wanted to humanize him? Like, what the fuck were they thinking? What?
They don't care. They 100% do not care about women. I always go like in these sort of moments where it's like, it's so glaringly obvious what you should do. And then you still make that choice. I'm like, that's who you've always been. So I think that in a lot of ways, Harvey Weinstein had the money, had the power to cover his tracks for so long until he couldn't, but there are still going to be people who are loyal to him. He didn't behave in a vacuum. I'm sure there are plenty of men who knew what he was doing. Absolutely. And didn't care. For me, with the Hollywood Reporter, I just was like, okay, I guess he paid you guys like $20,000 or whatever for this press, and so you're going to take it. But it's just it was so ignorant. It was so gross. And I was just like, the woe is me of like, I don't want my legacy to be that I'm a rapist. And I'm like,
that was the best. rapist.
I was like,
well, then don't be a rapist.
Yeah, don't rape. Like that it is astoundingly easy to not sexually assault someone. So please, Harvey, I don't feel bad for you in your fucking beige goddamn jail clothes. Like, come on.
No, yeah, I know. It's like, what is the demo for somebody who wants to see Harvey Weinstein in some weird sweatsuit in prison, and talking about he's just a miserable fuck, but like, take the raping out of it. Dude, you have a legacy. Like, you had a legacy of movies that are really good. And then you had to ice your own shit cake with the raping.
Yeah.
Can you just take the rape out? We're just remove the rape piece out of it, and then let's just focus on that.
Listen, I'm sure the people who are raped would also like to remove the rape piece out, but that's their life and it's your life too, dude.
Yeah, for real.
He's just holding on. Why hasn't he died yet? Like, I actually don't understand how he's not dead.
He looks like death.
Yes, I'm like, you're clearly not in a great state physically. I'm like, just end it. Just end it, and everyone will be fine.
Where's the Epstein guard that just disappeared for that hour? Like, get him. Like, what is happening? We know things are possible. We know the dreams are possible. People don't ever big picture it.
Nobody wants to work anymore. That's what I'm saying. Speaking of that, Phoebe, you have a special called I Don't Want to Work Anymore. And yet you have a whole bit in it, and I hope we don't spoil it, about hands-only masturbating. Which
that's work. That is work.
It's work. Like, why are you just rejecting the technology that we all have?
Listen,
that I might say will give you less work.
Do we not see what's happening with AI and technology? I will be a Luddite in this category until the fucking end. And I stand by that. This is the hill I'm going to die on.
Phoebe, here's the thing. Being the oldest vagina in the room, I'm going to tell you that the old technology, pre-AI wands, the Hitachi magic wand that has been around since before the car, and I think before fire, quite frankly.
It is an ancient and revered technology.
Yes. And also, my friend, you at some point in your life, you may get arthritis in your hands. And I want you to have the preparation and the know-how to pleasure yourself when your brittle knuckles and your brittle fingers no longer serve you. I just am worried about you.
I love that we're having an intervention.
That is fair. It's like, when someone's like, oh, I want to get a gun. It's like, are you prepared for the kickback? Like, you got to learn. So I'm like, I get it. I get it. I mean, I could be swayed.
Okay. Just know we're looking out for you in the highest order. We care. We care. And we were like, it was just Moji and I both, when we watched the special, we were both like, wait, that manual masturbation thing is work. Like, it's not like, they invented the lawnmower. You're not like chewing your grass like a goat. Like, there are things that actually make it
It's
easier.
like, oh, you need to cross a river. You're choosing to swim, but there's a boat right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. You don't have to swim the Hudson. It's not for swimming.
So, Phoebes, your special is super personal, as we have just pointed out. Your rants are super topical. So when you're on tour, what are folks going to get a little bit of both? What can they expect when they see you out there in these streets on stage?
I love hearing you say in these streets, Liz.
I'm down with the kids.
When I hit the road in early April, I think it's going to be a combination of topical stuff and personal stuff. Like, I really am very cognizant of how it does feel like end of days a little bit, but I still want us to have fun. I still want us to laugh, and I still want us to feel good. Like, I think at the end of my hour, I want people to feel lighter, not like, oh my God, the doom and gloom. And I think it is hard when times are kind of dark like this, to walk that line of talking about topical things. But I think to ignore it and to just be like, oh, I'm going to talk about like cereal or Pop-Tarts or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that. My instinct is not to like ignore that stuff, is to sort of like lean into it and see how I can make it funny and what it reveals about myself and society. So I look at it as like a really fun challenge. I hope that 2028 things will turn around. The right people will be kicked out of their positions. And I feel like there's a dumbing down. There's a very strong anti-intellectualism that's happening right now.
And I think these rants, which I've watched you do stand-up for a long time, and so I think it's super fun for me to watch you just like go in hard. And I think it's creating a collective community around the hypocrisy of this shit so that you're not feeling it alone. I think it's important that people just feel it. Right? We all feel like you're channeling us. It's like, how'd you know that's exactly what I'm feeling? And then bringing it to the next level, which I think is really cool. And that the fact that you're going to incorporate some of that into your stand-up, I'm super psyched about.
Thank you. And I think where everyone's just feeling a little fed up with like the influencers and everyone's branding and no one's like really saying anything because, oh, that's going to affect my coins or whatever. You're like, babe, the fucking house is on fire. We need to address the house. And so this sort of like consumption, because I really feel like that's what a lot of what's going on. And like, even with seeing these celebs do these betting ads, which they've done, how these betting apps are just utterly disastrous for people. You don't need to do this. How much fucking money do you need to make? It is absurd because there's so much hoarding that's happening. The rest of us are sort of going, wait a minute, we're doing all this and getting diminishing returns. This is fucking nuts. And so I think I just happen to say, yeah, I agree. This is nuts. And people are just like, thank you. I thought I was going crazy, but like I'm not. So I'm happy to be like one of those small
I'm so glad
voices.
you brought up the betting apps because I was thinking that when you were talking about men need a hobby, and I also feel like they're being offered betting apps as an option. I'm like, that improves no one's life. That's not a hobby. That's just another way for money to be extracted from you to people who don't need your money, right? They want your money, but they don't need your money. I don't have the tolerance right now for apolitical influencers and apolitical celebrities and anyone who feels like they don't have anything to say. I want to hear from.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that you have.
Yeah.
Especially when they think they're saying something, but they're trying to have both sidesism going on. Stop acting like
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Hello. Stop acting like anyone's looking out for you. No one's looking out for people. No one. Politicians are not looking out for you.
No, not at all. So like I loved at the Oscars when Javier Bardem just came out and said no war and free Palestine. I was like, yes, like we just need to talk about these things. You're making like it's a privilege to make a movie and all that stuff, but like it's not reality. We have to be talking about what's actually going on. Like Marty Supreme is not reality. Hamnet, which I loved. I'm like, fantastic movie. Jesse Buckley obviously should have won. But I'm like, you guys are just in such a cocoon.
Yes.
That I'm just like, y'all need to wake the fuck up.
And I mean, we all need to wake the fuck up because we are, you know, not us three, but also us three propping up this system, right? We sort of, I don't know, I engage in some bullshit. Like we are.
I mean, we all engage in bullshit, so that's fair.
But we're not leading with it. You know what? I feel like engaging in bullshit is sort of how we all take a breath and rejuvenate so that we can lead with what we think is important. To that end, we'd like to ask folks, Phoebe, because we all have our own basic shit. What is one thing that you have that is super basic about like what you do, how you do, like
just like are you the way that I signed up so quickly for the pre-sale link when Pussycat Dolls announced they were going on tour.
Oh my God.
I signed up for that faster than I did for my healthcare. Do you understand what I'm going on? I was like, yes, Pussycat Dolls, like so fucking basic.
Wow. And I thought my Olive Garden addiction was bad.
Yeah. And I thought my Batman thing was a thing, but your silo, I didn't even know they were getting together doing something.
Yes. 20-year reunion. They're going to do MSG. The pre-sale happens on Friday at 10 a.m. I am locked in. I am locked in on Ticketmaster at 10 a.m. to not get a ticket because that is a whole monopoly. But yes.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I did not expect that.
Yes. I love pop girl groups. Not so much anymore, but like I was into like Spice Girls, Pussycat. Like I love the outfits. I love the female empowerment. I love the like, I'm through with you boy kind of songs. Like, I just love all of that. It's so cute.
Phoebe, you're going to love. So we created this pop group that's made up of inflatable abortion pills. And it's called Miffy and the Misotones. And somebody from RuPaul's Drag Race created these big sparkly
inflatable.
And so we have a song that talks about how medication abortion works. And we made this video that looks like it's from the 90s of these singing pills. And I'm going to send it to you. And it's going to be your new favorite. They're going to be your new favorite group.
Amazing. Yeah. I love it. I'll be so into it.
Yeah. Yeah, you will. You will. And we will not sell out Madison Square Garden. And
I was going to say, and Ticketmaster will not be putting us up for pre-sale at all.
Oh my God. Phoebes, what gives you hope? Give people a little bit of hope before we close out the interview because we got to let you go.
My niece and nephew, they're so cute. My nephew Trey is 8. My niece is 11, Olivia. My nephew's very big into chess. And so, like, whenever I come home, he always wants to play with me. He wants to join the chess club at his school. And I'm like, he is just so sweet and tender. And they're both like little nerds. And I just always have a special place in my heart for nerds because I think there's a unabashedness about them. I think there's a non-fussy quality. Like they just like what they like and they don't care if other people aren't into it. Like they just don't feel the shame. They're just sort of like, this is my vibe. This is what I want to do. And like, I think so many people would be happier if they didn't allow society to tell them that they can't be the full version of themselves, you know? So it gives me hope that at this young age they're doing that. And I hope that obviously through puberty and, you know, adolescence, all that stuff is topsy-turvy, that they retain that essence of just being who they are. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Aunt Phoebe's going to help them with that because I feel like supportive adults are a whole lot of what it takes to help usher people through that really awkward phase. Phoebe, it's been so incredible talking to you. Can you tell our listeners where they can find you and where they can support everything you're doing?
Yeah, on social media, I'm Dope Queen Phoebes. It's P as in Paul, H as in Harry, E as in Eagle, E as in Eagle, B as in Boy, S as in Sam. I'm hitting the road doing some stand-up shows in Vermont in April, in LA, in London, and then in mid-May in Baltimore at the Port Comedy Club. And then, you know, I'm always like walking around Brooklyn. You'll see me at like a museum or at a concert, although concert prices are getting so insane. So I don't even know. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Pussycat Dolls, but me and my friend, we have a set limit. And if it goes above that, we will stay our behinds at home. That's
it is real. I just spent $102 to see Patti Smith. And I was like,
ooh,
it was
you
worth
saw it at 5 p.m. And
it was a 5 p.m. show.
That is also worth the money.
In a 300 seat theater. It was really cool. Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
I feel like I would pay an extra $30 for any concert I go to for it to start before 7 p.m.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. I know. I mean, these people who started these dance clubs at like 5 p.m. on a Sunday and you're home by 8. Yes. Yes.
I love it. I do a workout stand-up show in Brooklyn, and I a lot of times will do like Sundays at 5 p.m. Always sells out very quickly. Phenomenal crowd. They have so much energy. I'm like, we should just do stuff at 5.
Yes. Why everyone's awake at 5?
You guys, theater has matinees. Why isn't comedy in that genre of let's do a 3 p.m. show and call it a matinee? And
comedy and concert.
Yeah.
You send me like the most rockingest concert and I'm there at 3 or 4 or 5. You're going to get 200% of my energy. Yeah. And at 9 p.m., I'm ready to go to bed. So if the concert started at 8, you just get a third of emoji. You just
I know.
Or you have to start on time. Like Janet Jackson starts on time. Does not give a fuck. She is on time. She is in. She is out. I saw Peter Gabriel. He started on time, honey. We were done at like 9:49.
Still too late for me, but I hear you.
But be done.
Okay. But be done. Yeah, understand.
He was like, I gotta go home too. So he wrapped this shit up. Yeah, it was great.
I love it. Also, he's 80. So also helpful. You know, he also needs to be in bed at a certain time. You know, he's got drugs to take. Yes. He has to make sure that they go to the bathroom. There's getting pajamas on is a struggle. Phoebes, you are so great. Thank you so much, my dear, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Lizz and Moji. This is so fun. We could have just talked for like 6 hours.
Forever.
Yeah.
Lizz, that's our show. Thanks for listening. And thanks again to Alicia and Dr. O'Sullivan. And everybody, go listen to their podcasts, Menopunks and The Dusty Muffins, respectively. So good.
Oh my God, what a show. So much Manosphere, so much Menosphere, so much all of it. I feel like we nailed it on making you smarter this week. Moji, I feel smarter. I'm going to say it every week.
I feel smarter. And you know what? Also, I laughed.
I laughed a lot considering it was like dark times, but I think we had good. And if we made you laugh and you feel smarter, please show us some love by liking, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star rating. And again, if you want to go extra, what are we going to ask them to do, Moji?
Join the Patreon!
Patreon. That's right. Great content, merch, birthdays, blah, blah, blah. Patreon.com/feminist buzzkills. Do it. Support your local Dusty Muffins.
Plus, Abortion Access Front brings the news and info every day. So stay connected with us on social media at Abortion Front across all the platforms. With your help, we can get more and more and more and more people to learn about this assault on abortion access.
That's right. And now that we got you informed, let's get you activated. Check out our awesome OpSafe trainings at OperationSaveAbortion.com. You can get an abortion activist glow up and learn about all the areas abortion providers and patients need your help.
And while you're there, poke around at our super cool activist calendar. It is full of local and national actions and educational opportunities, so you can just dive right in and be helpful. Again, you can find all of that at OperationSaveAbortion.com.
And if you want even more ways to get involved, sign up to volunteer. We need you. Go to our website, aafront.org, fill out the volunteer form, and let's figure it out together.
Next week, we'll have Belle DeJong, an activist from Malta, from My Voice, My Choice. Belle is going to talk to us about all the tactics she used to get all the signatures they needed for the My Voice, My Choice abortion initiative in the European Union.
That's right. Plus, we've spent the last couple of months on tour with musician Jason Narducci, who has helped us raise some money for Abortion Access Front in the most amazing way possible. So Jason's going to come on the pod to talk to us about why more men should stand up for reproductive rights and why he and his incredible REM cover band with Michael Shannon just decided that abortion rights was where they were going to hang their hats and their power.
This episode of the Feminist Buzzkills podcast is edited by Polly Reese and produced by Jin Moon for Abortion Access Front.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Stay off the manosphere.
Or don't.
Feminist Buzzkills, the podcast from Abortion Access Front. New episodes drop Friday. When BS is poppin', we pop off. And if you want to support our podcast and all the work of Abortion Access Front, like, subscribe, and join our Patreon at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills.